this all up. You want to know why? Because it's the start of the NFL season. 2021 is rapidly approaching. Thursday, the big game. Oh, Dom, it's about freaking time. I know it's late your time, but how you doing this late evening?
Yeah, very well. And it's all my fault as well because I misremembered the time. So here we are recording it very late my time. But we're fine. We're all good. We're rocking to roll, just like the Tampa Bay Bucks when they take on the Cowboys on Thursday.
On Thursday night.
And probably, one of those teams will be looking forward to that game far more than the other, I would imagine.
And I want to jump right into the Cowboy game because I find it interesting. Because right off the bat, the first thing I think of is that Zach Martin is not going to be playing.
Say less is more.
We already have our early Spinal Tap moment here. Zach Martin is not going to be playing against the Bucs because he has tested positive for COVID-19 and he is out for the season opener. Zach, of course, had a kind of an up and down season last year. He's going to be backed up, or he is backed up by Brandon Knight, who I think was added to the COVID list as well. So it's going to be interesting this season with, I think this is going to be more challenging, the COVID this year, because I think a lot of people think because they're vaccinated, nothing's going to happen to them. And I think you're going to get a lot more positive tests than we did last year. But I think for the opener, Zach Martin to me is a big loss right off the bat, for the Cowboys. Connor McGovern is going to be filling in for him. Dom, is this, we're Giant fans, so we're happy that we're happy that any disadvantage that the Cowboys can have. But losing Zach this early in the season, and he has been an integral part of the line, he's been all pro for years. What do you think, man? This is this the way the Cowboys pictured their offensive line, especially with Dak Prescott coming back?
No.
Well, that's a quick, honest answer. Moving on.
Yeah. No, look, I think there's two things on the COVID thing. I think you're absolutely right. There will be more positive tests this year. I think probably because if you're unvaccinated this year, you have to be tested every single day.
Well, right now they're saying only 11% of the league is not vaccinated. And there's only two teams right now that are 100%. And I think that's the Falcons and the Buccaneers.
Yeah. And I imagine Tom Brady was integral in getting the Bucs vaccinated. But and by all accounts, though, they are concentrating a few teams, the Colts, the Bills, and someone else. I can't remember who it was. But they are going to be quite significant disadvantages to teams when you've got unvaccinated players. So Kirk Cousins, by all accounts, is allegedly not vaccinated.
Carson Wentz,
quarterback, not because if he drops out and gets a test on any day, game day, suddenly you've planned all week for Kirk Cousins or whoever running your offense, and suddenly you're going to your backup. That's not where you want to be at all. But of course, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't test positive, but it probably reduce the chances of at least how ill you're going to get.
Well, you're
therefore less likely to miss games. So I think COVID is going to have a big part this year.
I think they were saying that if you are vaccinated with the positive test, I don't think you need as many negative tests in a row than you would be if you were not vaccinated. And of course, I mentioned this just a second ago. Your favorite player, Carson Wentz, is not vaccinated and just came off the COVID list after coming off the foot surgery.
I was just going to say, of course, he of course also has missed 5 days this week, having just come back off the injury, and that won't have helped the Colts this year. So I think these things are going to have a big factor to play. And of course, if you're unvaccinated as well, and you've been around players now in there, how many more are going to what we would call ping and say, no, that's it, 5 days, you're unvaccinated, and suddenly missing games as a result of that. So it is going to be a factor this year, and it's going to have to be one that teams look at, and was probably a factor in Cam Newton as well, where he was, by all accounts, unvaccinated. So I think that is going to be a big thing. Do I think that the loss of Martin for the game is going to make that much of a difference? No, I think the Bucs are better than the Cowboys, right? But I don't think it helps them at all. And I think the Bucs will comfortably win that game. The big question for me, for the Cowboys, is will Dak be healthy? We don't know at this point. And if he's not healthy, I really worry about the Cowboys this year. Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy as Larry, as a Giants fan.
I was going to say, as a Giant fan, we're happy.
But looking at it objectively, you'd worry for the Cowboys and what they're going to do this season if Dak is not healthy again. And it's not just the injury he had last year. it's that arm, and the arm would worry me more right now.
Now, you actually stole my thunder for a second. I want to talk about Cam Newton. Now, I'm going to come back to the Dallas game. Do you think that Belichick released Cam Newton like this? Because he also released his other quarterback like a day later. So they only had one quarterback to roster at one point. Do you think that the non-vaccination of Cam Newton played into the Belichick? Now, Belichick says no. Played into the factor, though, of the Patriots releasing him?
I mean, I touched on it last week. I think basically, they made the decision in camp. They probably thought Mac Jones was more the future than Cam Newton. And he certainly fits the offense style far more than Cam Newton does. So I think that was probably a factor. But I think it probably was a factor for Bill Belichick because, the best attribute you can have in the NFL is to be available. And if you're not vaccinated, you increase the risk you're not available. And therefore, he's a man that prepares for everything, and I think it will have been a factor in his thinking. I don't think it would have been a decisive factor. Do you think, though, that especially going with the Patriots spent all this money in the offseason? By my accounts, and we know how well my math is, I think they spent $9,468,000. That sounds about right.
That sound about right?
I think it was certainly over $100 million.
Well, $100 million, $9,468,000, whatever.
You
spent all this money, and you're going to rely on a rookie quarterback. Wouldn't hindsight's always 20/20, but wouldn't it make sense or be more logical to have a veteran presence behind Mac Jones, just in case he turns into be, Rick Meyer or some other quarterback that didn't do anything?
I mean, on what, just over $1 million, wasn't it, that he was being paid? Yeah, 100%. Right. I mean, I personally would have started off with Cam probably anyway. I don't think it's a division where you can mess around at all. You need to hit the ground running, and there is a risk. Neither of us are big on. Excuse me, one sec. Neither of us are big on Mac Jones, but if he succeeds anywhere, it will be there. But yeah, I think that is a big risk. You're stealing my thunder here again. And because I want to talk about that too, also with the division they're currently in, with Buffalo, with Miami, and the Jets are just the Jets. I mean, can you ill afford, to have a rookie quarter? You're built to win now. You're Belichick. Can you ill afford to have a rookie quarterback tank and you have nothing behind him? No, I mean he's going to have to be fairly confident they're not going to tank, but I think there is always.
I'm fairly confident that I'm awesome. It doesn't mean it's true.
Works out.
Right.
I mean, I think he'd be fine, but there's no guarantee. You never know.
That's the problem, though. I mean, to me, there's just I don't know. There's just too much. I kind of think that Belichick is rolling the dice because of the fact that it's the whole Brady legacy that he's got to prove that he can win without Brady, of course, and then move forward with this rookie quarterback and kind of do what Brady did his first couple of years and go to the Super Bowl. That's kind of where I was thinking he was going with it.
I think that could be right. I mean, the question is, can he win without Nike? That's a big question.
That is a big question. That is a big question.
But I think last year the Patriots were missing a heck of a lot of guys from COVID. I think they opted out, as in they didn't necessarily.
They opted out, yes.
And I think that does have an impact. And I think it's the first time they had to try and get a new starting quarterback, up to speed with the system. So I think there were some bits there, but they are taking a risk here. You are absolutely right. If Mac Jones doesn't work out, they've nothing behind him. It is a risk in a division where you can't afford to take risk. And I'm surprised he has done it and has nothing there in place at all.
But he must who is the backup quarterback?
Sorry, one last point, which is I do wonder, though, whether the plan was with the cap space. They knew they had it, and I think they took a calculated gamble that everyone else would be struggling, or many teams would be struggling with the cap space because of the reduced revenue from COVID, and therefore were looking to take advantage to go and leapfrog back. So I think they spent some of that because of that, but that could be complete rubbish. But just they are a very calculated organisation who think these sort of things through, and it wouldn't surprise me if any team have done it, whether it will be them that have sort of thought that way.
Who is the backup quarterback for the Patriots? Because I just went on their unofficial depth chart and I can't find anyone outside of Mag. It is Brian Hoyer. It is Brian Hoyer.
Or because they got rid of Stidham.
Yes, they did.
So I think it's Hoyer.
Okay.
I'm doing that from memory, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I was trying to go see through the Google sphere if I could figure out who exactly was or is. Yeah, I guess
it might be Nike.
It could possibly be that. You never know. I want to talk about two other quarterbacks. And one of them is in legal trouble, and the other one is just trouble. Of course, it looks like the Texans are going to roll the dice with Deshaun Watson because they can't get rid of him. We've talked about it. Contractual-wise, this part of the season, there's no way in hell they can trade him unless someone's going to eat that salary and then try to renegotiate it so they can fit him under the cap. I mean, that
coupled with the fact that you trade him now to a team, you don't know how valuable that pick is because you're going to reduce the value of that cap that pick by a heck of a lot because you're going to be looking at, let's say it's Miami, that's going to be a late round first pick potentially anyway, so somewhere around 20 maybe, and suddenly you put Watson there, you're probably looking at a 26th pick. It's less valuable, and that's probably one of the better scenarios for them. So there's all these reasons. So I agree, he stays where he is. But yeah, carry on.
Okay, so at least 10, and this came out in the New York Times yesterday, at least 10 of his accusers have filed police reports against him. Now the owner has come out and said that pretty much that he's not going to play. He's saying all the right things, but I mean, do you really think they're going to sit Deshaun Watson? Because he hasn't been found guilty of anything. I mean, he's got these allegations against him, so you're always innocent until proven guilty. I mean, but what do you think? I mean, what do you think? I mean, I can't remember who was the guy that just took over for the coach for the Texans. I can't think of his name because he's in Texas.
Callie,
thank you. You wait for your shot to finally get a head coaching job, and this is the situation you fall in. I mean, what do you think? I mean, he's still not named a starting quarterback.
I mean, it'd be Taylor, I would have thought, but let me do it for him. It's Tyrell Taylor. As long as he doesn't have to go anywhere near the medical department, he should be good to go week 1 because we all know what happened to him last year.
As long as no one punctures his lung.
Yeah. Clearly the physio in the Chargers thought that. What's his face that was there last year? Anthony Lynn, who had lost all sense of what was going on and decided to take matters into their own hands, get Herbert out on the field. But I mean, look, I said last week whether I don't know if he's guilty or not. I don't know enough about it.
I don't think anyone really does.
But he's not going to start. I suspect that the Texans have said I've planned for him not starting on the grounds that if they look to start him, there's a potentially ends up on the commissioner exempt list. And even if he doesn't, there's the mind frame of he doesn't want to be playing there anyway.
Right. He doesn't. You're right.
Even if he did want to be playing there, can you really be focusing fully on your job when you've got that hanging over you? So I suspect they've made those decisions for those reasons as well. And at the end of the day, you're paying him $10 million this year to sit. It's not ideal, but that's probably worth it to try and increase the value of that pick later on when you're banking on him being found not guilty. But if he's found not guilty, those picks become more valuable because I think any team trading for him now, I mean, we don't think there are going to be any genuine ones, but they're going to want some kind of insurance against those picks. That if he can't play for X amount of time, that first becomes a
he's going to get suspended. I mean, you had guys like Ezekiel Elliott got suspended without any charges filed against him for 8 games, and there was another guy that got suspended with no charges filed against him for 8 games. So he's going to face a suspension, and they're saying that the Houston police have spoken to at least 10 of his alleged victims. So, and this was just a day ago, and he has 22 lawsuits already facing against the allegations. But it is what it is. Let's go on to a different quarterback because I love this quarterback, and I always love your thought process about this quarterback. Carson Wentz. Oh, he finally gets traded out of Philly. He goes over to Frank Reich, his former coach who made him so successful. He's got the foot injury that he had back in high school. He's not vaccinated. He had COVID. He's now off the COVID list. He's hopeful that he can start for Seattle. What the hell is going on with Carson Wentz, man? Is this guy just snake bitten? I mean, or is he just trying to, blow up his own career? I mean, what the hell, man? This guy finally gets a shot to get back with the coach that made him a star. He doesn't get vaccinated, and he's got to have the foot injury at the same time. Are you expecting anything out of Carson Wentz this year? I mean, do you expect him to, do what Phillip Rivers did last year for them and, help them move forward? I mean, what is your thought process? I know you love Carson Wentz, so that's why I'm very curious about what your thought process is.
I mean, I heard that the Colts have a really good plan, so they're going to roll with Carson till just before the trade deadline, bring in Foles. Wentz will take them to the regular season. And Foles will take them to the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't need to talk about Carson Wentz anymore.
and now I've moved out of the land of unicorns and fairies and back into the real world. Look, do I think Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback? No, I actually don't. I do think he's injury prone. I think there are players, we've said it before, if not on this show between the two of us, but I'm sure on this show, there are injury prone players and there are players that are unfortunate with injury. There are differences. He is very much injury prone. I don't have sympathy for him if he's chosen to get not vaccinated. That is his choice.
Right. That's your choice, though.
But it is his choice. But with the league rules as they are, you're not putting yourself and your team in the best position to win. When you are on the hot seat, you are last chance saloon now if you're Carson Wentz as a starting quarterback in the league. No question about it. And you're back with the man you hope will be able to sort of re-find your
Frank
former
Reich,
glories.
His former offensive coordinator.
Exactly, as a head coach. Now, I think the Colts have a really, really good roster. I think that is a team that could, I don't necessarily think it's Super Bowl, but it's certainly deep postseason. The issue I have with them is they are so injury prone. And, you look, they've got Nelson, is in their premium offensive lineman. He's in a race to be ready for week one. They just seem to have had a mess of an off season. And there is no one that I could see that I would have any confidence in on that roster if Wentz is unavailable. And he has a history of being unavailable. We look at the 49ers. Why did they go for Trey Lance? Because if something happens to Jimmy G, they've got a quarterback in, which they haven't had in the other years when he's been injured. Now, the other reasons probably for that as well. But this season they have Jimmy G and they have Trey Lance. They have a backup this year, and it's not called Nick Mullins if Jimmy G is unavailable. I'm being sassy today.
I was going to say, I think you're being sassy because you're up late.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime and I've got my big boy pants on.
Well, I'm glad you have your big boy pants on tonight. Oh my goodness!
but I mean, where are you on? I mean, I know we agree on Watson, but Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz to me, and you said it very succinctly. He is a guy that is injury prone. Yeah, he's proved that in Philadelphia. He's proved that in the very limited time that he has been in Indianapolis. I mean, I think he's got talent. I always thought he had talent coming out of North Dakota State. And what other quarterback also came out of North Dakota State just recently?
It was
Trey Lance.
I was going to say, was it Lance or Fields? I couldn't remember which one it was.
It was Fields is Ohio State. I was going to
go for Fields. Fields is where I was at, actually, so I would have gone wrong there.
Well, and I only brought that up because I love when people say, Trey Lance comes out of this little school that no one's ever heard of. Really? Because there was an all-pro quarterback who almost won the MVP who has a Super Bowl ring that came out of the same college a couple of years ago. But I think that if Wentz is going to do anything, you're right. He's got to.
Are you a big man? Huh? I'm talking to you. What? You wake up in the morning, you say, I put on my big boy pants. Look, I'm wearing a belt. I got big boy pants on.
He's going to have to put his big boy pants on, and he's got to understand the difference between being in pain and being injured. And that's what he's going to have to do. I'm not saying he's not a tough guy, but I think some of his issues are psychological. And I think he needs to figure out where he wants to go with this point where he wants to go in this stage in his career. And honestly, I think this is his last shot.
Yeah, 100, maybe a backup gig, but do you want your backup injured as well? Because your backup is there.
See, I don't even think he's going backup. I think he would be out of the league.
Exactly.
I mean, but you know what? Let's get away from Carson Wentz.
So really quickly, I just looked up a couple of stats on Wentz. So it turns out he's been in Indianapolis for 107 days and has been available for practice for 1.6.
Wait, is that actually true?
Stats may not be accurate at time of recording and may have been made up.
Oh my God. I was like, oh my God. Get rid of him now.
Oh, dear me. But really quickly, actually, I do have a question related to that. Who do you think, I don't know if we're going to cover this later because as usual, we have no plan, but who do you think takes that division?
You know, I was going to say the Colts, to be honest. I still think that I am going to go with the Colts because it's not going to be the Texans. It's not going to be the Jaguars. The Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill just came off the COVID list as well. So, he's going to be subject to, availability over the next couple weeks. I mean, and with the talent that the Indianapolis has, I thought it was going to be the Colts.
Do you know what? I found this almost impossible to call this one when I was thinking about it. And I'll tell you what, so I'm calling this the hospital division because I think it has the potential to be the worst division in football this year. Seriously. The Texans are horrific. The Jags are going in the right direction, but are probably not going to be great. The Colts can't stay healthy, and the Titans can't get out of their own way either. It is literally, for me, a question of which one of those two teams stays the healthiest out of the Titans and the Colts.
Here's the thing with that. It's not going to be like the NFC East last year. I think there is a potential if both teams stay healthy and play up to their abilities. There may be, even though there's two horrid teams in their division, they may send two teams to the play. They could potentially send two teams to the playoffs.
You're exactly right. Both these teams could go something like 11-6, 12-5. But with their injuries, do I trust them to go that far?
No. If I was betting, I would not be betting on them.
No, because you just don't know. I mean, you look at the Titans' defense and you think it's better this year because they got a bit more of a rush and they've got a bit more on the secondary. But Caleb Farley's gone in there. I think it was him. So it wasn't Satan. Yeah, it was Farley went in there. That hopefully will improve that along with, but they lost to Dory Jackson.
Right. Well, Dory Jackson, they lost last year too. I mean, he only played 3 games.
That defense is horrid. It's horrid. But we'll see. But it's the hospital division because I think it's going to come down. I mean, all divisions come down to injuries to some extent, but those two in particular.
Right. I think you're right. I think it's gonna focus on that. I want to talk about Tom Brady, and this is interesting because this really didn't come out anywhere, and I'm wondering once again, is the NFL protecting Tom Brady? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
There's a fine line between tough and crazy, and you're flirting with.
I'm going to flirt with that line here. Tom Brady came out after the boat trip. You know what I found out, especially being a Giant fan? Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever with the term boat trip ever ends in a good thing. Because we all know what happened to the Giants in Green Bay. And then evidently Tom Brady got COVID shortly after the Super Bowl boat trip that they were on when they were throwing the trophy back and forth. But you didn't hear anything that Tom Brady had contracted COVID at all. You didn't hear a peep out of it. Now I'm not sure if this is because it was during the off season. But I always thought that because of the collective bargaining agreement, teams had to report when a player tested positive. I mean, that's what I remember it being. I don't know. I could be wrong, but is this the NFL once again protecting the GOAT?
Well, the NFL wants to protect the brand, right? I mean, there's a theory, and we were touching it earlier with Watson, that he's not on the commissioner exempt list because the Texans said he's not going to play, so don't bother, and therefore you lose that. The answer is I don't know. There's a possibility that they put it out at like 2 a.m. somewhere, and no one picked it up because it was the off season. But I doubt it. I imagine they just
Tom Brady revealed it himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, exactly, and I was going to say, but I very much doubt it, and there is a history around the teams that Tom Brady are at where information hasn't come out that should have come out. I'm looking at you, New England.
Repeatedly. I'm looking at you, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, repeatedly, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say double take. So you don't think there's no conspiracy theory behind that. You know.
The answer is I don't know. Ultimately, I don't think it's made that much difference. It was the off season. I don't think the teams were really mingling too much at that time after the boat trip. Yeah, so I'm not too worried.
I just thought it was part of the collective bargaining agreement. That's
they may well have to have.
That's why I was curious about that.
As breaches go, I would imagine it's relatively minor. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't follow the rules to protect Brady or the NFL brand, and it was swept under the carpet because you've got a good news story about Brady and a Super Bowl.
That's
just left
and that's what I was thinking. I wasn't going to be a conspiracy theorist, but that's what I was thinking. You got Brady going to Tampa. Tampa kept their whole team together, and they didn't want it to get out to ruin the story.
It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not terribly worried, to be honest. It on this one, it is what it is.
All right, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. Dom's going to go on the hot seat. Who do you think right now? Name me one NFL head coach right now, or two, or no more than two, that is before the season even starts that they are on the hot seat right during week 1.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think the pressure's on. Kyler Murray wants to be going to the playoffs. He's in one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest division in football. I'm not convinced by them. And I think he was brought in to take Kyler Murray to and lead that team to the promised land of not just the postseason, but deep postseason. And I don't think they're anywhere near it. And I think they're going to finish bottom of that division this year. Possibly might pip Seattle. Possibly.
See, that's interesting because I think they're going to take the division. I think they're going to take the division. I'm not a fan of LA. I don't think they have the talent to go for it. I'm not a fan of Sam Bradford. He's never won anything. The 49ers is a Garofalo injury away from having to play Trey Lance, and he's not ready. And I think Seattle's on the downslope. Russell Wilson kind of proved. Russell Wilson had a fantastic year last year, but he can no longer at his advanced age, which I always love saying because I'm way older than he is. There's no way he can continue the level of play that he has been at because even Tom Brady, the GOAT, has gone down in play. So I kind of think they can take the division.
I think they're coming bottom of that division. Possibly the Seahawks. I agree. I think Seahawks are going to A, not make the playoffs this year, and B, could potentially slide quite far, if I'm honest, because I love Wilson. I really, really love Wilson. But I don't know, great. But here's the upside for me on the Cardinals. I think they have Kyler Murray. And he can't be worse than he was last year, on third down, where I saw a stat a couple of weeks ago. So I am doing this from memory now, but he had his worst ever third down percentage passing or something, which is not ideal when you're trying to move things forward.
We also had a bad 5 games because he couldn't throw because he had the sore shoulder.
And maybe that was a factor in it, but they do have the plus. So I don't think he can be worse on that than he was last year. They have wide receivers in Hopkins, and they drafted one of the more. I can't remember which one they drafted now.
And they have AJ Green.
But
they have AJ Green too.
I don't necessarily think they have the world's best running game outside of Kyler Murray. I think they have a really good edge presence in theory, but it's a very old edge thing, and you wouldn't bet on both of them making it through the 17 games. I'm just not convinced, and I just think something feels wrong in that organization right now. It just doesn't feel right to me from the outside. Something it feels wrong in that locker room.
Here's what I'm going to tell you: AJ Green is evidently, as one beat writer put it, is AJ Green again. You put him with DeAndre Hopkins, and you have them on each side. Now, AJ Green, outside of last year, was not injury prone. I think he was just unlucky last year. I could probably run for 50 yards a game with AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray in the backfield. I could probably run for 50 yards a game because you cannot put 7 in the box and leave one of these guys on one-on-one coverage. There's just no way, because you're going to get burned every time. And then if you try to play like 6 deep and you don't play the run like you should, Kyler Murray's just going to run. Kyler Murray's the kind of guy, yeah, he's small, he's slight of stature, but he's one of those guys that knows when to go down. He has that venerable.
He doesn't get hit a lot. He does not get hit a lot. No,
he does not. He's got that venerable pocket presence that we wish Daniel Jones had. He goes down. So if you're putting 6 in coverage, 7 in coverage, he's gonna burn you for 20 yards right up the middle of the gut. So I think with Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt, I think they're going to have to generate the pass rush that they need to generate, and the loss of Patrick Peterson is not going to affect them.
No, Peterson, forget that.
And like I said, I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about Sam Bradford in the McVay offense. And like I said, San Francisco may have a good defense, but their offense is questionable at best. And if Garoppolo goes down, I'm not seeing Trey Lance.
Do you mean Matt Stafford, not Sam Bradford?
Yes, Sam Bradford. I keep thinking Sam Bradford. The old Rams coach. I was thinking about him the other day because of the fact that they revamped the entire draft system, or I should say the pay scale for rookies, because of him. And I was reading an article about him the other day about how he got like $964 billion. And then the next year, the guy got like, the next year's pick got like, number one pick got like 15 million or whatever it was. But I don't know exactly what the number was, but I just thought that was interesting, because I forgot all about that. But Matthew Stafford does not give me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Neither does Sam Bradford.
His contract certainly didn't give whichever team he was on warm, fuzzy.
He was on the Rams. He was drafted by the Rams number 1 overall years ago.
I couldn't remember where he went. But yeah, just something feels wrong for me with the Cardinals. It really, really does. I think that's a really tough division to call. I think the Rams always bother me because I think they have 4 or 5 stars and not a lot behind it.
And Aaron Donald has not been playing at the level Aaron Donald should be playing at either. He's kind of starting to go down on the slope, I think. I
mean, to be fair, he's starting from a high base. I mean, he's not on the rolling fields of southeast England. I mean, he's kind of starting at Everest, really, isn't he? I mean, Mount Caburn, just outside the town I grew up in, is not exactly his starting base, which is only a little bit taller than I am,
Well, but yeah, we know that's not tall.
But yeah, I mean, everyone's hyping on the Rams and Super Bowl. I don't have them anywhere near the Super Bowl, to be honest.
I don't see that as well. So now we have...
I had the 49ers taking the division because I'm kind of banking on Jimmy G having a bit of a chip on the shoulder and staying healthy, which I must admit is a bit of a wing in a prayer.
That's more of a wing in a prayer.
Jimmy G staying healthy, your prediction's looking a little bit dicey. But
that's more of a wing in the prayer than having the Colts and the Titans stay healthy. That's you're really rolling the dice on that one. So you have the coaches on the hot seat.
But I really like their defense, and I just can't see the 49ers having as many injuries as they had, which again is a really potentially dumb thing to say right now, but that's where I'm at.
I'm going to say right now they're going to miss Richard Sherman. And I know he was out part of the last year, but they're going to miss him in that secondary. And I don't think they're going to generate the pass rush, the 49ers, that is. That's going to allow them to have a hole in the secondary like Richard Sherman.
I think the secondary is definitely the weak point in that entire team. But you don't think that the likes of Bosa and D4 will generate that pass rush for them?
You know what? Bosa's got to stay on the field.
He's got to stay healthy. I can't remember which. Both Bosa's missed.
Both Bosa's have been hurt, and that's the problem. But let's get off that, coach. Let's go on to now. Who do you think is going to be your surprise coach in the NFL? Someone that's going to come out of left field and take their team to the playoffs, or maybe not go to the playoffs, but maybe generate a winning record. But someone's is going to shock the league.
I don't know. I team wise, I think Carolina and therefore Matt Rule. I think that is where I could see that, but I think where you could also see something happen and start to really move in the right direction, but I don't necessarily think the teams would get anywhere near it, would be I'm quite intrigued by what Arthur Smith does with the Falcons this year, as his first year head coach. But Matt Rule is the one I have. I'm actually quite high on Carolina this year.
You're high on the Sam Bradford connection. Is that what you're high on? Is that what you're high on? Is that what you're telling me? Because we all know.
I genuinely think the Carolinas will have a good year. I really, really do. I think they will make the playoffs. I genuinely.
I think we need to have a PSA here.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
All right, we got the PSA in for Dom because you think Carolina's in the division with the Saints and the the Bucks are going to be.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks will take the division, no question about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers got the seventh spot for the. They won't go anywhere in the postseason. That'll be it. They'll be one and done. But yeah, I do have them there. I really, really do. I actually they're my feel-good team for the year. They were the most boring team in the world last year. But I'm quite excited by what might happen this year.
I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be the surprise coach of the year. And I think it's going to shock some people. I'm going with Bill Belichick. That's for you.
Why
that's for you, that's for you, King of the Idiots. I think that's for you, Chris. I'm going with the Belichick. I think the amount of money that first of all, he kept Josh McDaniel another year. The amount of money that he spent in free agency, he spent it in a way that is going to help reconstitute his offense to actually go back to like the early days. He's got the tight ends. He's got the big line. He's got the defense. He's got a quarterback that doesn't have to really, I'm not going to say doesn't have to win. He doesn't have to win you the game, but he doesn't have to, he won't, if he does it right, won't lose you the game. It's almost like they're going back to the early glory days with the first Super Bowl team that beat the Rams. And I know I was kind of bashing Mac Jones a little, not bashing, but I was kind of saying, it's kind of crazy that he is, he's going to be the starter and Cam Newton's not even there. I'm thinking that the Belichick has got something here. And I think he's got something up his sleeve where he's not going to rely. People think, and because it's been so long, people think Tom Brady has always been Tom Brady. When he replaced Drew Bledsoe, he wasn't the Tom Brady he was, when he was taking him to the perfect season and going and, playing. He wasn't that Tom Brady. He's kind of more the Tom Brady he is now. And I think that Tampa got it right by just saying, hey, you know what? Brady will make the big throw when we need him to, and he won't lose us the game. And I think that's what the Belichick is thinking with Mac Jones and how he's constructed his offense and his defense this offseason. And in this division with Buffalo and Miami and the Jets, I'm not saying the Patriots are going to take the division. But I have a feeling they're going to sneak in as a wild card. And you know what? Here's the thing about the Patriots. You get them in the playoffs, all bets are off.
Do you know what? I didn't have them because you used the word surprise. I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. So I have, in terms of if I was looking at coach of the year and you assume that one of the teams doesn't sort of go 16-1, 17-0, that sort of thing, which is unlikely but possible. Someone like Arians might, or McDermott at Buffalo, but that's too tough a division for him to do it, or Andy Reid does it with the Chiefs. I think Bill Belichick could be a coach of the year because I actually think that the Patriots, I'd be shocked if they didn't win 10 games. I could see them winning 12 or 13. I think he buys you 2 wins off the bat. You're exactly right. We were talking about it last week. Mac Jones does suit their system. He doesn't have to do anything spectacular, and that will probably be fine. And they are built to win. They've invested that money, and they are a good team on both sides of the ball. I don't think they take that division. I think the Bills will, but they will come second. And that's why I think the Dolphins, and I said it early on, I think the Dolphins will have a good season, but they are not going to be where everyone thinks they're going to be after the draft night, because I just think that the other two are better, and I had concerns about some of the injury proneness of or injury wise of the players they drafted in certain positions. So I wouldn't be surprised at all by that, and that's why I didn't pick them, because you said surprise.
To me, I think besides the fact that we're incredibly intelligent and handsome all at the same time, I think a lot of people would be surprised if Mac Jones turned in a Tom Brady early Tom Brady performance, and they went to the playoffs out of that division. Because, like I said, for the longest time, it's going to be, two teams to me are coming out of that division. And I've always said that it's going to be Buffalo and Miami, because you got to remember, these guys outside of the Jets play each other twice. So I don't think there's going to be, I think there will be two teams, with winning records. But since they play each other into the division, I don't think it's going to be on that. I don't think they're going to go beyond that, because you're going to have someone that's going to sweep somebody and someone else. So to me, right now, if I was thinking that the Belichick would win 7 to 8 games.
No, I've always had them about 10 minimum.
Yeah, see, I can't think of them as 10 minimum, only because of the fact that you're going to play Buffalo twice, you're going to play Miami twice. You can pencil in the 2 wins of the Jets. But honestly, you really can't even do that, because for some unknown reason, no godly reason, the Pats at times have problems with the Jets. I don't know if that's just like a fluke of nature or something, or maybe something's in the outer solar system that's causing this problem because the planets aren't aligning correctly. It's kind of like the Giants and the Washington team. The Giants always seem to have the Washington team's number now, and it comes and goes in cycles. But
I think there's also a fact of it. I think in sports, most teams have a bogey team somewhere along the line. And to be fair to the Jets, I actually really like the direction they're trying to go in. They are the Jets, and only the Jets could do what the Jets do. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I think you're right. I think I have them second. I have them second in that division, and I have done for quite some time.
Watch out for
which is probably why I don't see them as a surprise.
See, there you go. That's why I said you're very handsome and intelligent.
Well, let's
draft, baby.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What was that?
I'm really hoping we're not going to revisit this show in January.
We are closing in. Yeah, I hope not either. So we're probably both really wrong. We're closing in on that dreaded hour mark. So we have to make sure we get Dom's
draft, baby. Yeah.
Rapid fire topic lightning round, where Dom, in his vast knowledge, asks the questions that we all want to hear the answers to.
I'm going to sort of continue the theme of the preview show, and let's do this rapid fire just to make us look silly in January. So I'm going to go with a couple of categories, and let's shout who we think takes it. If you're up for this,
I'm up for
I will
it.
also do it. Go on, there. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, I'm going Trevor Lawrence. Taking the easy way out.
Yeah, I had Kyle Pitts.
Well, you're wrong. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a quarterback. Let's see. Quarterbacks are the flashy ones; they often get it, right? But that's
what I'm thinking. He could throw for 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions, and he's still going to get it. And I think he's going to score more on the ground than people give him credit for, because I don't think people remember that Trevor Lawrence has got some wheels.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, I'm actually going with the Giants' Ojulari.
Oh, good shout. We missed him after the draft, where we said we both said afterwards, why didn't we say Ojulari as one of the steals of the draft? But I went with same division, but I went with he who must not be named in Dallas.
Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
See,
I really, really like him.
My thing about Ojulari is and I've said this a million times, I don't think he's going to be the most talented player on the field. I think out of necessity for the Giants, he is going to be on the field quite a bit. And I don't like to use the word that he's going to compile stats, but in some ways I think he's going to compile stats.
It's a bit like teams with only one wide receiver.
Exactly.
They get a whole lot of the yards because they've only got one person to throw at.
Exactly.
And I think you could be onto something there, because he pretty much is our pass rush.
We hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But an interesting one then, comeback player of the year. I really struggle with this one.
I am actually not struggling with it. I have two people I can thinking of, and I'm actually going to go with J.J. Watt.
Oh, go on.
My other one was going to be Saquon Barkley. But I think J.J. Watt is going to have more of an impact. I think he's going to get on the field sooner and play more.
Yeah, so I wondered whether it might be McCaffrey or Barkley, but depending on how much they see the field. But I actually wondered and this is going to sound daft when I've just said I like Carolina, but whether Jameis Winston might be in with a shout there.
Ooh, Jameis Winston would be good. I was thinking more of come back up from injury, not from he doesn't know how to throw the ball out of bounds.
But I'm not convinced by the Saints at this point, but I think he's an interesting option there.
My thing is that Hill replaced the legend Drew Brees at one point. They pulled Brees for Hill. And I just have this feeling that it's going to happen again with Jameis Winston. He's gonna turn the head coach into Sean Payton into he's going to send him into crazy land because he's going to look beautiful one drive and do the Jameis Winston thing the next drive.
Yeah, and we'll go one more. I'm not going to do the obvious one of who wins the Super Bowl, but you can do it if you want. Which team's going to have the biggest regression this year?
Ooh, the biggest regression. You know what I think it's going to be? And I think some people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah?
I think the Raiders...
so really quickly, I think there's two potential really big issues with them. But
that's what I was going to talk about till you interrupted me so rudely.
No, but I'm just thinking, but I might be on the same page here. Go on.
I think in that division, you got the Duck with the Chargers. They're going to be better. The Raiders just added KJ Wright, so they basically revamped their linebacking core. We both like David Carr. They have the offensive weapon, so I think they're going to be better. I think you're asking a lot from Patrick Mahomes to carry everything, and you basically revamped the entire offensive line. And it's not that I don't like Steve Spagnuolo, who is the defensive coordinator, but outside of and I know he won a Super Bowl ring with KC, but outside of the couple of years with the Giants, Spags has a complicated defense that never really has worked outside of his early years with the Giants. And I think that defense is going to be a problem.
I think the defense is a problem, and I think that line has the potential to be really, really good, but they could struggle early. What was I going to say? You might like David Carr, but I'm a big fan of Derek
Carr. Man, I am screwing up. I do like David Carr because he used to play for the Giants.
Yeah, he wasn't the best quarterback in the world. But, funny enough, I had the Seahawks that we talked about earlier. I just think they've been living on the edge for too long, and I think this is the one where
that's why I didn't pick Seattle, because I think they've been on the downslope for a while because the Legion of Boom has gone boom, turned to dust. You know, Russell Wilson, who had 40 touchdowns last year and 3 or 5 interceptions, something crazy like that. He's still your offense. You got what's his name, Metcalf out there, but you know, if you look at your receiving core, I mean, it's nothing to be scared about. Same with the running game.
And Lockett, and forget about the rest of it.
And I'm not even a big fan of I'm not even a fan of Lockett, to be honest. And I'm just not seeing it. I mean, I like I said, I haven't seen it for the last couple of years. But I think it's just been Russell Wilson that's been keeping them afloat.
I think Wilson makes Lockett look good, and don't get me wrong, Wilson can make a lot of people look good.
Oh yeah.
He could possibly make David Sills look good, but I'm going to regret that.
David Sills is the greatest wide receiver never to play. David Sills, the only 25-year-old wide receiver who's never gotten to a regular season game, who is the greatest offensive threat in the history of New York Giant football. Just throwing that out there.
But yeah, no, I mean, you know, I do worry for Seattle. The other one is Pittsburgh, but they were so hopeless in the second half. I'm not sure you can call it a regression. I don't think they're going to be 5-1 from their first 6 games or anything horrific like that. But I just wonder there.
Well, I think they want to be. I think they want to be 5-1. I think they want to be 5-1 in the first 6 games.
I've been 1-5. Sorry, yeah, but my turn to slip up. But yeah, I think there's some really interesting things going into the season. I'm just massively looking forward to it now, and and next time we I would say next time we talk, but that will be like tomorrow when we message.
I was going to say that's going to be tomorrow. I mean. That's not going to be. That's probably going. Well, you're 11:35 right now, so that's probably going to be in about 7-8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. But next time we do this, we'll be through week 1, and it's really looking forward to it now. It's going to be a good season, and at the moment every team's undefeated, so we can all have some optimism
That's true. Yeah, you have to look at it that way. The Giants. We are undefeated. I know we didn't talk about it briefly, and I want to talk about it quickly because I know we have some Giant fans, and I do want to mention one other thing really fast. I was going through the stats of our downloads from our show, and I want to say something about the United States. USA, man, we are now behind almost 2-1 in downloads from the UK and other parts of the world around. Pick up the pace, guys. Start listening, man. We used to blow out the UK, man. I mean, it was like us playing, them in basketball. But now it's almost 2-1 on the downloads. We are ranking higher statistically in the UK than we are in the United States in reference to downloads. How do you feel about that, Dom?
It's my natural charm and dulcet tones that bring in the listeners every week.
I think they just want to hear the crazy American. That's what I think it is. This way they can say, "Oh my God," they can talk like me, like you do. Hey, hey, I'm Austin Powers.
Draft, baby.
Crazy American, I'll just try and be Austin Powers for him. It'll be fine. And I managed to talk over that button, so that was great.
Oh my goodness.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
I'll just keep doing it.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
I'll just keep doing it. Yeah, but I thought that was kind of interesting that we, which is great though, man, which means we're getting more popular. And like I said, I appreciate everyone that does, which I'm still shocked by, does weekly download the episodes. I mean, it's not where I don't think it's where I want to be in reference to downloads, but you get we get more than a couple hundred downloads a week. So I think that's pretty, awesome, and we're growing. And like I said, I do appreciate everyone that does listen, and I know Dom appreciates the same.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's such a fun show to do. I do it even if no one listens, but it's great that we have got people downloading and listening.
It's better to do a podcast that have people listen. People always yell at me because when I do YouTube, I tell people they're too stupid to watch and I ban them. And then people will come back and tell me, you probably shouldn't tell your viewers that they're too stupid to watch because you actually need views. So we need downloads. So if you are a fan of the show, here's your homework for the start of the season. Go pass this on to like 5 other people and have them pass on to 5 other people. We're going to get a pyramid scheme going on here so we can get more popular. Dom, do you have any final thoughts to close out the show before the start of the season?
No, nothing beyond what I just said, which is it's time to watch some football, and we're going to have plenty to talk about in the next 18 weeks because we're, of course, 17 games. And if you want to see what 2 grown men crying look like, we look forward to a Giant. But we could be anywhere, by the way, this year. I have literally no idea. We could be 2-15, or we could be 12-5. I mean, that would be probably beyond us, but you know what I mean.
When you start revamping your offensive line directly out of preseason, and you get a guy that they said in the nicest thing they could say about him in Cincinnati was he's gone from horrible to adequate, and then you picked up another guy who fumbled.
You talking about T-Rex with the arms?
You picked up another guy who people see, the Giant fans all want, like, oh, this guy's so awesome. We also forget about the 3 fumbles that costed them a game last year. 3 fumbled snaps. So I mean, it's you know what, you hope for the best, and you hope everything else, you hope it all just goes away. And also about the show, what we're going to start doing is I don't know, Dom, are we going to record on Monday or Tuesday night after Sunday's games? What are we doing?
I mean, like everything else, we work it out next weekend.
We're going to work it out next weekend because next weekend is the kickoff. We are going to have a show after the game. So maybe we'll record on, I think we record Monday evening.
I think that's what we said.
And then we'll talk about the Monday, the Monday night show the following week along with the episode. I think we're going to close it out here because you know what? It's been an awesome, great show. And this time the season is getting ready to rock and roll. This is Tim and Dom from NFL Talk from Across the Pond and back, wishing everyone have a happy start of the NFL season.